Welcome back to MultiGen Mindset. Welcome back to a lesson on self torture. A lesson on self-deprivation. You know, when they say that man is his own greatest enemy, the truth that rings through that statement can be very painful for some of us, where responsibility is hard. And what I mean by that is that in some way, somehow, some fashion, we are solely responsible for everything that we experience in this life. And that's really frustrating to say. That's for anybody who's had a great deal of pain and trauma and suffering as a human in this life. It's really hard to point the finger back at oneself and say, I am the cause. However, it seems like the call for clarity and the call for truth declares that one must take full responsibility for one's experiences in order to get past what it is that's holding you back. And we know that there's truth, and freedom comes from truth. We know that in truth there is freedom. And we know that if we could somehow transgress past where we are, that there's something on the other side for us. And I think that we all have that semblance of truth resonating in our beings, that there's something inside of us that knows if we can get past where we are now, that on the other side of that is something. Is something good, is something better. And I feel like those of us who don't give up on life and our dreams and our hopes and give up on the pursuit of happiness, and for those of us who don't give up, that the thing that keeps us going is this belief that on the other side of this, that on the other side of this thing, on the other side of this struggle, on the other side of this heartbreak, on the other side of this failed business, on the other side of this job loss, on the other side of this broken relationship, on the other side of this, there's something for you. And for anybody that's been a human and lived through life and not given up, the sole strength that one must have been able to grasp onto and grasp onto and grasp onto and grasp onto is that on the other side of this. And I think that just resonates through us and gives us a hope that truly on the other side of whatever this is that each and every one of us face every day, that there's something good for us there. And I believe that we grasp onto this hope, or hope is a very unpowerful word, but I believe that we all grasp onto this faith that we can get through this, and that on the other side there is something for us. And I think that the self-responsibility thing is really hard for anybody to, accept, take, and to deal with. And I feel like that's a slap in the face to some people, whereas that person feels like the whole universe is against them. If you've ever tried to do well, and you've tried to do good, and you've tried to build things, whether you're an entrepreneur or just a normal human with a regular job or career, and sometimes it feels like there's literally like a demon with his foot on your throat, and everything that you try to do, there's like this pushback from the universe, or this demon of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, to where it feels like you're in this war and you're fighting, and it's like battle after battle after battle, and you're just like, when are the fights going to end? Like, can I just have a year of peace? Can I just have a year of calmness? Can I just have a period where I'm not going from one crisis to another? And some of us feel like we do go from one crisis to another, to another, to another, to another. And we are very troubled as why these crises keep happening. And it's only natural to look outside of oneself for suppression and say, well, maybe there is a demon that's been assigned to like destroy my life. And if there were, think about it. If there were a force of evil against good, and if that did exist, if you were raised in the Christian church, Christian philosophies, then you believe, not that you believe, but you were taught that there are angels and that there are demons and that there is a war in the spiritual realm and that humans are the target of this war and that there are spiritual beings and powers and principalities that fight against those who seek to do good. And the Scientology religion, it's actually titled the universe, and that when you push up against the universe, as far as pushing up against what currently is reality, that reality pushes back. And in both of those religions, there is a foe, there is an enemy. In both of those religions, there is a resistance. In both of those religions, there is something to be fought against, something to put pressure against, something to be overcome. And this game of overcoming and, maintaining one's strength and continuing on the good fight, there's this dynamic in both of these religions where you are in battle, and that there's a goal, a battle to be won, and there's a resistance. And it seems like sometimes we feel immersed in that resistance, and maybe you're not conscious of it every single day, but I feel, because I come from the perspective of an entrepreneur, that I have more of a grasp on this actual resistance. When you're trying to scale your company and you're fighting against all of these things that come up in the course of building a company and scaling a company, from employees that say that they're working when you find out they're actually not, from employees that say, team members who say that they have your back and they're for your company, but you find out they're actually not. And then the financial systems that, want to suppress you by keeping you having bad credit so that you can't get loans and financing and capital for your company. And then you have the tax people who are breathing down your neck to want, you have to fight them to not give them all of the money that you make, right? And then they'll throw you in jail. If you get caught doing it the wrong way, you're facing a prison sentence. And there's, competitors, people who will go leave negative reviews on your businesses that aren't even clients of yours, or even actual predatory clients that will sign up for your services and not pay you. And then when you go after them to get them to pay, they leave you bad reviews. And it's like sometimes in entrepreneurship, it's like overcoming. And you have a sense inside yourself to where you realize that that's not the way it's supposed to be. And there's even more torturous when you look at other entrepreneurs that are around the same age as you, or maybe within a 10-year to 5-year time gap of your age, and they're billionaires and you're not. And you're saying to yourself, why am I so far behind these people? Why am I seeming to not excel to the rate that other people are? And all of these things, even if you're not an entrepreneur and you have a 9-to-5 job, your battle could be to fall in love and get a husband or a wife and have children. And even in that, there's struggle. And so I feel that as we go through this human life, wherever we are and whatever conditions and particular battles and games that we find ourselves in, that there's a resistance that pushes back against us having our way. And I feel that resistance, it doesn't need to be named. We don't need a name for that resistance. And the search for responsibility is pointless. And then self-blame doesn't do any good either. If you've suffered and you haven't achieved the things that you want to achieve, and you've failed in love, and you don't have children, and these things that you want, and you feel that you're a loser, and you feel that you haven't excelled, looking for the blame, like playing the blame game, doesn't actually bring any relief. It doesn't matter how much you stand up and say, I'm willing to be responsible, right? That doesn't change anything. And there's this, theology that's being put out that if you can accept responsibility for your conditions, you can have the power to change it. And I feel like that is a false belief, that it doesn't matter whose fault it is. Playing the blame game, whether you blame yourself or somebody else or the devil or the universe, it doesn't fucking matter. If you are trying to blame somebody, that game in itself is invalid, because it not only is it acknowledging that there is a force against you, it's also wasting energy and time, because there is a force against you. There is. Whatever religion or theology you subscribe to, it doesn't matter. You don't need to name the fact that when you try to do good, things fight back against you. That is common knowledge. It doesn't matter whether you call it demons or the devil or the universe or the way that things are, or low vibration versus high vibration. It doesn't matter what you name the thing, but we have to, when you do come to the admittance of there is a force that's trying to kill you, there is a force that wants you dead, there is a force that doesn't want you to succeed. And even if you just simply said it's the yin and yang of life, that when the pressure comes, it makes you stronger, and that when you look at a yin yang, that you have the black side and that you have the white side, and they're pressing against each other, which creates a harmony. Just like life presses against death to survive, and death presses against life, and the human body fights to survive. Just like when you get a bacterial infection or an illness, your body is fighting back against those negative forces. I feel that this struggle to take responsibility is more a fight to blame oneself and castrate oneself and hold the search for responsibility doesn't bring you any more power than to blame it on the devil. The fact is that there seems to be this enemy. There seems to be this thing that no matter where you turn, it fights against you. And the acknowledgement of that doesn't bring you any more freedom than if you acted like it didn't happen. But we get confused sometimes, and we get to this place of wanting to give up, of frustration, of being just flat tired, of being exhausted, And I feel that sometimes we do get tired, and we do look for relief, and we do look for resolution, and we do look for a way out, and we do look for truth, and we do look for relief, and we do look for help, and we do look for faith, and we do look for hope. And you can read all the books in the world, which is a task that I greatly love. My books are my most precious items, and I love my books, and I read through them, and I adore them. And I feel like in books, there's the experiences of somebody else that can potentially help you where you are. And sometimes it helps us just to hear from somebody else that they're hurting too. That you're not alone. You know, like, it's when you feel all alone, when you're internalized and you're literally feeling like there's nobody else experiencing what you're experiencing, and there's nobody else on the same plane as you. There's nobody that you can call and talk to. There's nobody that understands. And when you get to that place, there's walls all around you. And, you know, a human can only take so much buffering. They say that pain makes you stronger. They say that pain is what makes your muscles grow. And although that's true, there's a time where I was in the gym doing bodybuilding, and I was hardcore dedicated. And I was going to the gym 2 hours a day and working and working and working and working and working and reading and studying and maintaining my diet, changing my diet, and adding to my diet, and doing everything I could on the earth. Like everything possible that I could read, everything that I could do, every supplement that I could take. And I wasn't growing. And I felt like an entrepreneur that was trying to grow his business that just no matter what couldn't grow it. And it was so frustrating because I wanted my body to be in a certain way. I had an imagination of how I wanted my body to be, and I was looking on how to create that, and I was investing the time in the gym. I was investing the time in my diet, but no matter what, my body wasn't changing. And I literally felt like there was a force that was against me, that there was a force that was standing over my shoulders, that there was a force putting its foot on my throat and fighting against me. And no matter how much I fought my body wouldn't change. And I ended up getting my hormones tested. And in the test, we discovered that my testosterone was under 500. And I now knew the cause of why my body wasn't changing. Because the chemical makeup of my body at that time, with the low testosterone, inhibited my body from genetically and scientifically growing beyond the cap that it had with my testosterone. And when I discovered that my hormones were off, it was the greatest clarity that I had ever gotten. I had discovered the demon with his foot on my throat. And for the first time, I was able to name that person. And for the longest time, I blamed myself. I blamed myself that my muscles weren't growing. I blamed myself that my body fat wasn't dropping. I blamed myself that my biceps weren't growing. I blamed myself that my abs weren't coming in. I blamed myself that I was doing things wrong, or I wasn't dedicated enough, or I wasn't trying hard enough, and I wasn't putting in the effort. But I fucking knew I was putting in the effort, and I fucking knew I was working harder in the gym than anybody else, and I fucking knew that I was there at 6 a.m. and I went back at 9 p.m. I fucking knew that I was putting in the work. And I also fucking knew that there was like a demon with his foot on my throat trying to keep me from breathing. And the results that I was going after weren't coming. No matter how hard I fought, they weren't coming. And when I discovered that my testosterone was less than half of what it should have been, I just sat for a while laughing. Literally, when I got my testosterone tested and I sat there and the doctor explained to me that my testosterone should be 900 to 1200 and it's literally like 450. And he explained to me the side effects of that. And I explained to him what troubles I was having in life regarding this one goal, which was to gain muscle. And he then explained to me that you can't grow muscle. You're inhibited from growing muscle. You're never going to be able to grow muscle until you change this, because the testosterone in the body determines things like muscle mass, the ability for the body to break down protein to heal damage to gain muscle fiber. That procedure, that ABCD, that you put pressure on the muscles, you damage the muscles in working out, the muscles then break down testosterone or use testosterone in one way or another to break down protein. Actually, it's breaking down protein to fill in the holes and the scars in the muscles that you caused during the workouts, which then gained muscle mass. When he broke this down, I just sat there in the room for a while, and I went ahead and signed up for the testosterone therapy. But I remember sitting in the lobby. I just sat there with my face in my hand, kind of just staring at the wall, because I was like laughing. I was humorous, like I was relieved, but I was also pissed off. I just sat and I stared for a while, because the whole time I had been blaming myself. I'd been blaming myself that I wasn't achieving the results in life that I wanted. I'd been blaming myself. I had been castrating myself. And all the while, there was a demon for sure. And it was low testosterone. But how many times a day did I get onto myself and beat myself up that I wasn't putting in the work, and that I wasn't doing the diet right, and that I wasn't devoted enough, and the work harder model just didn't work. Work harder. Your muscles aren't growing. Work harder. Put in more sets. Add more weight. Eat more protein. Cut more carbs. Take more supplements. All of it. None of it worked. None of it worked. And I thought it was my fault. But then I found out that there is a problem in the recipe, right? Because there's keys and there's recipes in life. And we're always searching for these recipes, right? These success recipes, right? Every time you read a self-help book on success and wealth, you're looking for a key. You're looking for an answer. Somebody to blame, whether it's yourself or the devil or the universe or the Pope or the government or your parents or your employees or your team members or Google or the government or some force bigger than you or whatever, And I'm sitting there realizing that I had been working for, 8 months to 9 months in the gym, working to get my body to a certain goal. And then I discovered that the target that I had as my enemy was wrong. I was targeting my diet. I was targeting my workout regimes. I was targeting the hours in the gym. I was targeting the ways that I was doing my sets and my forms and my sets, right? As a bodybuilder, I was targeting those things as the devil, right? That is fighting against me. And all the while, I realized that there was nothing against me at all. My body was trying to support me, right? My body was trying to respond, right? I didn't actually need to spend more time in the gym. That wasn't the problem. I didn't need to perfect my diet. That wasn't the problem. I didn't need to take more supplements. That wasn't the problem. I didn't need to eat less carbs or eat more carbs. That wasn't the problem. I didn't need to do more sets or less sets or stay more time under tension when I'm holding the weight. I didn't need any of that. So that was my focus. So I'm sitting in this doctor's office. I just discovered that my testosterone was less than half of what it should be, and that the past 9 months, the entire time that I was at war with whatever forces against me that I believed were against me, and discovered that it was something else all along. Well, I did get on testosterone therapy, and very quickly, within about 3 months, we raised my testosterone up to normal. My body immediately responded. My body immediately changed. I immediately lost body fat. I immediately started gaining muscle. I immediately started feeling better. I immediately started sleeping better. I immediately started having responses in the gym that are normal. I immediately started to see growth of my muscle. I immediately started to see this huge release of battle. See, I was at battle, but I had the wrong target. I was blaming the wrong thing. I was fighting the wrong devil. And the devil that I was fighting was actually the thing that was actually for me. I was fighting my body, right? I wanted to lose weight and gain muscle. So that was my target. That was my enemy, right? I wanted to lose weight and gain muscle. All the while, underneath the surface, literally, of the skin, there was a devil that was silent, quiet, that I didn't know about, that was inhibiting my success the whole time. And I realized that also reflected to my entire life on the bigger scale of business and finances and success and love and marriage and kids and all the things that we deal with as humans, and wanting to, define success for ourselves and achieve that success. I think oftentimes we're not only looking for a devil that's not there, and that's frustrating, but I think also we oftentimes have the wrong targets. We have the wrong culprits. We're blaming the wrong things. And when it comes to life and love and success and all these things, where is it that in your life you think that you're not achieving success because of certain variables, where underlying the surface you're just missing testosterone? Now, that's an analogy. And as somebody who owns a testosterone therapy service, of course, that's the analogy that I'm going to use. But I believe that this example, really truly does flow over into every area of life. Blaming yourself for the mistakes that have been made and the failures, it doesn't get you anywhere. It's self-torture. You're blaming yourself, and it doesn't get you anywhere. Other than closer to giving up. So we need a solution to human life that actually is workable. We need a solution to human life that we can find the right enemy, we can find the right target. Blaming the government and Google and blaming suppressive organizations and corporations and blaming Microsoft for COVID and blaming COVID in itself and blaming Satan and the demons and blaming the universe and blaming the way that it is and looking for all this. It's such a futile fight, because the entire time that I was in the gym working to grow my muscles and it wasn't happening, I was continually blaming the wrong things because I had lack of knowledge. I had lack of data. There was a piece of data that was missing that I needed to compute the truth and the circumstances, and I wasn't getting all the data. And because I didn't have all the data, I wasn't able to compute the truth of the situation. So how often in other areas of life does the same circumstance apply? How often do we blame the wrong things and then not get anywhere because we're blaming the wrong things? I think that it happens all the time. I mean, it really does. holding on to this thing that you want so badly that you know that you should have it and you know that you want it, and then you're going after it and you're trying to get it, and then it doesn't come, and then you're frustrated, and then you go after it again and the thing doesn't come, and then you're frustrated, and then you keep on the cycle, and you know that you can't give up because you're such a strong person. You can't give up because giving up would be quitting, and that's not who you are, and you're not a quitter, so you can't give up, but you got to keep going, and then you're on this cycle, and then it keeps going again, and then you get frustrated and you go after it again, but yet then you face the same kind of rebuttals against life coming against you, and then you go at it again, but you can't give up because you're not a quitter, and then giving up would mean that you're a quitter, but then at the same time you want to give up, and you feels like giving up is the right thing to do, and then you can't let that go because your ego, and ego says that you're not a quitter, so you can't quit, and then you realize that eventually the quitting is the exact thing that you need to do. It's to quit. Is to stop, is to give up. That is what you need to do. Giving up is not, that much of a bad rap. Being a quitter is, honestly, it's not so bad. They say it is, but it's okay to be a quitter. Because when I was working so hard to get my body to where I wanted it to be, and it wasn't happening, and it wasn't responding, and I was just fighting harder, and I was going to the gym more, and I was eating more protein and shoving more supplements down my throat and doing all these things. At a certain point, I gave up. At a certain point, I put my hands in the air and I said, I fucking quit. I'm fucking frustrated. I am done. And that's when I asked for help. That was when I went outside of myself and asked for help. And when I did that, when I quit, when I gave up, when I got to that breaking point, when I said I can't do this on my own anymore, when I said I'm not fighting any longer, it's not worth it, I can't live this way any longer, when I got to that place and I gave up and I quit, that's when I opened my heart and I opened my mind to be willing to find out data that I didn't know. And I started talking to doctors. I quit trying to do it on my own. I did quit, and I did give up, and I did get frustrated, and I did stop, and I did say no more. I did say no fucking more. I'm not doing it. I'm done. I'm fucking done. And when I got to that place, I reached out of myself, and I got help, and I got advice, and I asked questions, and I got tested, and I found out data that I didn't know, which set me free. Because see, the truth, it does set you free. And often we go forward with the knowledge that we have almost egotistically, as if we have the knowledge that we need. And then we push and we push and we push and we push and we push. And then we get rebuttal after rebuttal after rebuttal from the universe or God or devil or Satan or whoever you need to blame. And then at some point,